Pokemon has just renewed trademarks from Pokemon X and Y. We've got the Pokemon Day 23 logo leaked. We've got DLC information and much, much more. Let's dive in. All right, first things first, hope you guys had a wonderful holiday. I certainly did. Spent it with my family. It was good times. I hope the same for you. We got a tweet this morning from Poke Experto, and I'll do my translation on Google Translate. Says, Nintendo, Creatures, and Game Freak have re-registered the Pokemon X and Pokemon Y logos in Japan. We do not know the reasons. They then go on to say that in 2023, it's gonna be 10 years since the release of Pokemon X and Y, which is crazy, because I still remember to this day getting Pokemon X and Y and playing that game and being so pumped about it. It's crazy to think that it's been 10 years. Has it really been 10 years, dude? Oh my God, that's actually really wild now that I think about it. I've been doing this for a long time, guys. That's when I started content creation. Anyway, so they're saying that it could just be a trademark renewal since they expire in 10 years. So just a couple things to note, right? Like if the trademarks do indeed expire every 10 years, it would make sense that they would renew them. Obviously, you know, at some point we'll probably revisit KALOS, whether or not it's anytime soon or down the road when kind of Gen 6 remakes happen. There's been a lot of theories on the channel as of late that we could be going to KALOS in the first place, though, when it comes to DLCs for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. Considering just the simple location factor here of Spain and France being so close together, but also just where KALOS is on the map in relation to Paldea, and we can make some assumptions in kind of that northeastern corner of the Paldean map that could ultimately lead us to KALOS, which could tie in with Zygarde and all sorts of stuff. And again, if you haven't seen that video where I kind of explain why I think we could be going to KALOS, you can find it in the description below, and I'll put the thumbnail on the screen as well. Before I go any further, I do want to say that like them re-registering this trademark isn't like, oh my God, KALOS is coming, but it could be another sign. And again, I just encourage you to watch that KALOS video if you want to go down the rabbit hole there. Poke Experto also reporting on the fact that the Pokemon Day 2023 logo was actually leaked through a data mine of Pokemon Unite, which is pretty cool. I admittedly haven't played Pokemon Unite in quite a while, although I do quite miss it. It's a fun game. El Chico Eevee reporting on this leak as well, indicating these cool screenshots of the logo and then kind of the little screenshot of like this foresty background. Their speculation and kind of the speculation in general is that this could be revolving around Celebi, potentially being kind of the focal point of Pokemon Day 23, which could indicate that Celebi might be coming to Pokemon Unite. I know they have kind of some releases like Dragapult and Comfey and some Pokemon like that, but there's some people kind of thinking that maybe this has something to do with Celebi. Why would Celebi be relevant outside of just like putting in Unite? I don't know. There's a kind of thought a lot of people want like a Let's Go Johto kind of thing, or maybe some sort of like Legends Celebi or Legends Johto. Obviously, Celebi has a unique place in the Pokemon world with its time traveling abilities, and that really ties in a lot with kind of what we're dealing with in Paldea. So just some food for thought again. A lot of these things, they may or may not be connected at all. They may not have any sort of relevance, but it is worth noting that obviously the logo did leak, and obviously Pokemon Day is gonna happen, right? And a lot of people are speculating this DLC potentially coming in January because that's our precedence. When we had Sword and Shield and they announced the Isle of Armor, that was announced early January. So we may only be a few weeks away from that. Pokemon Day itself is towards the end of February. We may have to wait till then for any sort of a DLC announcement. So time will tell on that. From there, last bit of information before I dive into kind of the theories and rumors for DLC stuff. CRB reporting on the fact that the next 7-star Terra raid post Charizard is going to be the Fighting Terra type Cinderace. Runs from December 30th to January 1st, and then again midway through the month. So Cinderace getting introduced into the game should splash up competitive quite a bit. I think the biggest thing here, I might make an in-depth breakdown on it, but I think Azumarill's looking really strong against this again, and there's a few other options. This Pathra I've seen as a potential option because of its signature move being able to drop special defense and just deal massive damage. Cinderace does have a good amount of coverage, but I don't think that this will be a trouble for the community. The community was able to deal with Charizard very, very easily with the strategies that people set forth. Now we've got this user Light88 with a theory, and I had thought about making a video on this a few days ago. I think it's actually really interesting, and I think it may tie into the DLC, but again, this is a theory. So they're saying, I haven't made a theory in a while, but after some research, I want to talk a little bit about the hypothetical unmentioned third academy, the Apple Academy. Now we know in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet in the Paldea region, there's 2 academies. You've got the Naranja Academy, which is oranges, and the Uva Academy, which is grapes. But what if there was a third academy, the Apple Academy, the Manzana Academy? In the game, there are several visual clues that indicate there could be a third academy in the game not mentioned. In Clavel's office, there's a plant hanging an apple on the table. On Sagaru's apron, there's another apple, and Hassel has an apple on his art table. So a couple screenshots here of apples kind of scattered throughout the school. One of Rika's questions in the Pokemon League is, what is the name of your academy? Which is the answer to the Apple Academy. So when you get asked what's the name of your academy, you choose the Naranja Academy, the Uva Academy, but the third option is the Manzana Academy. So not that crazy there. And then of course the fact that Flapple is on Hassel's team, which has some fun little hints there. Could have relevance, maybe not, I don't know, but could be cool. And then there's also this image of Hassel's trainer, and he's obviously painting the applin, as I mentioned. Probably the oldest teachers have now been students of the Manzana School, so there's two hypotheses that can be given. The Apple Academy was established between the Uva and Naranja Academy, or that there's simply another school. There's a book to be revealed, and it's probably related to the apple. This book refers to the Golden Book, which could be related to a golden apple. And we're talking a lot about Heath and how he has this third book that could have been written. Obviously, we know about Heath. We talked about him in a recent video. He's the author of the Violet book, but there's a thought that there could be a third book, especially when you tie it back to the leaks from the Riddler indicating that there was a third book. From there, we say that Sada and Tura wanted future and past Pokemon to live alongside the present. This can be related to the Golden Age from Greek mythology. It refers to the myth regarding an initial stage of ages of man in which he would have lived in an ideal state or utopia. In literary works, the Golden Age usually ends with a devastating event. The same happened with Adam and Eve. They ate the forbidden fruit, the apple, and were expelled from Eden, but the era of humans started. There's two characters related to money and power that are in the DLC as well. When we kind of take it a step further, we've got Billy and Onair, which obviously make kind of a word billionaire. A lot of people are thinking that that could be Nemona's parents. These are two leaked names from the game files. Money equals power. That's a fair kind of stretch there. So the DLC will talk about this third academy or book. Characters were missing, new Pokemon. Want to know the relation about the third legendary in Paldea with the Spain lore. And then it goes into kind of some thoughts about the Shield of Galapagos located in the center of Spain. Like Area 0 in Paldea, the symbol is two turtles and a cane. The guardian of the Zero Zone is this disc Pokemon, which again, we're thinking could have something to do with Zygarde as well. So a little bit of a stretch on some of this stuff, but I think this idea that there could be a third academy, the Apple Academy or the Manzana Academy, I think is really neat. And it's something I'm curious to see if we can explore a little bit more as we get information about the DLC, inevitably coming at some point, at the very latest, probably by Pokemon Day. So that's pretty much your full rundown for today on Pokemon news and much, much more. Again, I hope you had a wonderful holiday, and I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and that's gonna be that for me. Be sure to check out this video here on the KALOS breakdown if you want to know why we could be going to KALOS for DLC, and the signs keep on pointing in that direction. So take a look. See ya.